has been disrupting a lot of other business. So either we adopt it to enable us or we get disrupted. So as simple as that. So the older generation also have to start catching up with the younger ones. Because the younger ones are getting more and more dynamic. Okay, just a very short introduction about MRCA. MRCA was founded in 1992 by Dr. Eddie Chun for Bocom. Of course, together with some other members as well. And today we have grown from a few stores to about 500 chain brands with about 30,000 stores. Now we employ probably more than 200, 300,000 people directly or indirectly. So we are one of the largest association and NGOs to be reckoned with. Especially in the last 2 years, we have grown from 290 to about 500. So there's a very tremendous growth in terms of membership. As you can see that we really represent the retail fraternity. And also in recognition of what we are doing, I've also been appointed as the part of the National Council for the Cost of Living to represent the business sector. So indeed there was also a very heartwarming recognition. You can see these are some of the biggest brands we have here. From Bonnier, Osim, Pardini, lately even Parks and Joints, Starbucks, Grab, Bisut, and many others. So we are growing very healthily and very speedily to make sure that the retail sector in Malaysia will grow dynamically and also very positively. Of course, MRCA, we have a 6-point action plan during my tenure to make sure that we really engage with the members and also the government, all the business sectors as well, including all the associations. As you can see that we also have started a digital retail membership, especially we have some very big members like Lazada, iPay88, and many others they have joined on board with us, even Leilong and many others. We also give a top priority of members. Those in terms, so if you are a member, we try to give business back to the members. I think that is one healthy relationship. It's always good to support within the family. Those days we don't do engage that much, is it? So it's very important that we look after our members. And our events are all very grand. You should join us. We have the next one coming, 26th anniversary at the Sunrises. It's always power packed and fully packed. The last installation night was at 1U, so we have more than 1,000 people. So you can see that we have a very good events. We can share a lot and learn a lot from each other. And most of our business members are all very successful people. And we also have our MRCA youth that we go around sharing, inviting some of the very established members to share their experiences in terms of success. I think sharing is one of the fastest way to learn. You see, because different sector, even let's say Seng Heng, if you're doing a different type of business compared to Bonnier or KK Mart, they are all our members, or even Pardini. So if you were to talk to the bosses, everyone you can pick up something. I think that is even more interesting than taking your PhD or MBA, right? So these are some of the things MRCA can also offer we also collaborate very closely with the government to make sure that whatever policy set is in line with what we do in the business sector. It's very important that we have to fight to fight our rights, is it? For example, last time we have even the consumer ministry, they came up with some very sometimes unreasonable rules or laws. Like for example, anti-profiteering. We have some members during the switching of the GST time, they just try to adjust to the nearest figures or whatever, and they were punished in a way, and penalized. And the fine can be pretty big, 50,000 to 100,000, and they blacklist you. If you have many chain of restaurants or outlets, that could be very serious. Can fine you up to a few 100,000. And of course, we have our now we have also in the Malaysia Book of Record, Malaysia International Retail and Franchising Exhibition. The last one we had was in July at the KL Convention Center. We have about 300 booths, and there's a very big attendance as well. So in case you have any interesting products, you can also join us. of course, as I mentioned, the MRCA youth. So we wish to make sure that there's a continuation of leadership in the association. That's why we started this youth, and the expectations are very high. Whoever come on board of MRCA Council, we set very high standards and make sure we contribute everything towards the goodwill and the benefits of all the members, and that's very important. So we are actually very member-centric to make sure that whoever join us will be proud of the association. And that's something we really, really want to drive in. And this is our new council for 2020. As I mentioned, we have also in the past some councils are not contributing because they don't have the time. So we have to keep fine-tuning the list of members in the council. You can see most of them are very big names. Okay, just to start off with the retail trade and contribution of Malaysia to the GDP. Today, retail is one of the biggest contributors to Malaysia GDP. It's about 9% or so, but we expect to touch easily more than 10% by year 2020. And it's fast growing retail. You can see that a lot of new, especially F&Bs are springing up, new concepts and all this. And in fact, F&B plays a very important role nowadays in all the malls due to digital disruption. A lot of the other trades cannot survive in the mall due to the high rental, especially in the fashion and even the home furnishing. They can't survive. So came in most of the malls, even in Singapore, you see some of the malls, they fill up to about 50%, all especially on F&B. Those days, normally F&B, they keep about 20-25%. Lately, they went up to 30%. That most of malls now, they're keeping around 30% or even 1/3. You can see once the disruption comes in, but you can't have more than 50 or 60 or 70% of F&B, of food and beverage. Otherwise, the whole mall will become like a food outlet. So you can't do that as well. So there's a threshold. So you see, last year Malaysia GDP is only 1.174 trillion. Actually, it's still relatively small. You convert to US dollar, it's nothing that you short of Malaysian GDP. So, not mistaken, they're exporting almost about 10 billion of furniture overseas. Can you imagine that size? So these are some of the things that challenges in business. We always have challenges. You can see the service sector actually has provided more than 50% of the GDP. You can see 54.5%. On the retail and F&B alone, you can see it's about 16.3% of the total service sectors. So service has been always a very big sector in the business sector in Malaysia. And e-commerce in Malaysia, you can see every year there's a double-digit growth. You see, look at this year we projected to about 3.144 billion. So times the 4 is about 12 billion in terms of e-commerce market. And it's going double digit, the same is about 15%. The largest, you can look at the latest monthly GDP records. The biggest contributors are nowadays, surprisingly, in Malaysia, you should read, is electrical and electronics. They are the biggest contributor in terms of exports. Lately you can see the census about more than 40%. And surprisingly, our commodities, palm oil, rubber, all this, has dropped to very low levels. Petroleum is stable. The next one is chemicals has gone up. So you can see there's a lot of dynamics shifting of the various sectors also in Malaysia. But agriculture actually is a very important sector which Malaysia should drive at, because at the moment we are still importing, probably I was told about up to even 30-40 billion of food stuff from overseas, which we could have grown in because we have plenty of land. So this is something a challenge to the government as well. You can see also as I mentioned, the electronics. The average revenue per user, that means per user, is about $158 US. So you times 4, probably about $700-800 per user in the internet. So on the average, it's still quite fairly nice figure, but you can see there's a big potential for growth now. Like China, I think literally more than most of them are going online. You see, especially in areas where there's very heavy traffic and people want convenience. But as in the retail later, you can see that people are balancing on both the online and the brick and mortar. Not just online, people also wish to have experiences on the brick and mortar, the physical stores. But America, you see, there's a lot of changes in the trends of retail. Many of the shops, they're making like concept. You go in, it's an experience. Maybe you go to a restaurant, may have a small pond where you can see even fish or something like that. The dynamics are changing, so people have to make do a lot of attractions. For example, the latest shopping mall coming up at TRX, Tun Razak Exchange at the Jalan Imbi there. The CEO came and see me, we are friends, and so they asked me to give me some input. So I told him, if we build another mall just like currently what they have in KL, I don't think you can survive long. So what I mentioned to him, I gave him some inputs. Now everybody is going to, look at China, they're going to robotics, artificial intelligence, and so many IoT and so many other things. So if you want to come up with a mall, you must have something fantastic. It must be a place of experience, not just a mall walking inside, you can see, or you can see buying Louis Vuitton or the same old thing you see in every shopping mall. So it has to be something fantastic. Maybe in the future, robots will be greeting you at the doorsteps. Is it? All kinds of, and you can have all kinds of what you call it, experiences which you can't have it in other malls. Then you'll be a difference. Then you'll be totally in the forefront. So that is something business sectors, especially in the retail, have to look at. Right? You can see there's been a double-digit growth every year from 16, 17, 18. And there's a projection, you see, up by 2020, 2022, it's almost 5.5 billion in terms of e-commerce. Right? You can see it's actually, it should be faster, in fact. Look at it. You look at China, the way they do things. They are very fast copycats. Even the high-speed train. You see, 10 years ago, they signed up an agreement with Japan to do a joint venture. At the same time, parallelly, they also have their own, you see, their own mode. So after 10 years, you can see they came up with high-speed rail. And today I was told they even have came up with a 600 kilometer per hour train, high-speed train. But they have not launched it yet. You can imagine they're moving so fast. The Chinese are fantastic in terms of learning curve. They're fast and they're very innovative. I think the main thing as an entrepreneur, I think the main thing is that you must be hungry. Is it? Like Steve Jobs said, you must always stay hungry if you want to be successful, and many others. So if you have the passion, if you really want to succeed, you must always stay hungry. And you can see that the numbers have gone up to 21.5 million users by 2022. It's also, you can see, a very good growth in terms of e-commerce. But there's some contradicting figures. Somewhere I read that about 70% of the e-commerce users are the youth, young people, below 40 or so. But some figures I got here is also slightly lower. You see, basically the data in Malaysia is not really fixed because we don't have a center. Even the government, for example, housing, you ask the housing minister how many unsold and how many needed, what is the future and all this, they don't have all these figures. So the statistic department should actually be more efficient in this sense, so that all the figures can be computed in the best possible manner. You can see here 5 to 24%, the figure says about 1/3 of users from that age. Users by income group is all about the same, from the low, medium to high income, it's all about 1/3, roughly that. Doesn't go very far. even the rich may want to buy online as well. You can see sometimes you check online, you may get a good buy on Rolex. Yeah. Like so example, one of our member is Mall 28. On and off, they put in some very nice Rolex, maybe some special edition. You can get a price at a song, so it's good to sometimes check on the online. Maybe some of the design or the colors you wish to pick. And users by gender is about the same also, is it? Almost 50-50, plus minus, not too far away. Unless Malaysia going to have more ladies than men in the future, then probably then the figures for ladies may be 60-40. The adoption by SME, you see, is still quite low. Industry to grow by 2020 is only 11%. And this is only about 6.4% of GDP. So actually the government should encourage and do a very strong push on this digital. At one time we were talking about Alibaba, the digital free trade zone. There's a lot of hoo-ha and all this, but today suddenly there's no more sound. And with Jack Ma retiring also, probably the project, I don't know what happened. There's nothing much to, or no one really driving it seriously. At one time they have about 2,000 starters to kickstart the project. And you look at Thailand and Indonesia, these two countries are the two countries to watch. In Thailand, last year they launched a very big fund. Some don't even know what they're talking about. Some just don't have good ideas. So we have a lot of wrong people in the wrong places, I think. But there are a lot of good people, there are a lot of talents in Malaysia. Even like the room here today, I can see many of you are very talented people. You give you another 5-10 years, probably you're somebody as well. I still remember one of my friends who met Ponima of what you call it, this WeChat group. He said many years ago he met him, he was in one of the conferences, was nobody small size guy, just walk around. And then today he said, hey, my goodness, this guy is the biggest guy in China probably. So things can change drastically if you do the right thing today and do plan your future. And put in some solid efforts, of course, and talk to the right mentors, the right people, then probably you'll go very fast. And this is a transaction, 6.5 billion, this ringgit actually, last year. The main issues adopting of e-commerce, you see, perception and knowledge. A lot of people talk about e-commerce, especially the older generation. Because even, you see, many of us buy smartphones, but you only use probably 3 or 4 part of the phone only. Although the phone can offer you hundreds of benefits. So these are some of the things that I have friends, you'll be surprised, they're top businessmen. They don't even know how to use WhatsApp. You ask them, no, you call me. They don't know WhatsApp also. They just refuse to learn even simple things like that. So it's a mindset, mind block. Of course, the cost of network, you go into digital, it costs you some good big bucks and so on. Of course, the process innovation also that's lacking. So these are some of the things that I think slowing down digital. But again, this we need a lot of encouragement from the government. The government must spearhead this, just like Thailand and Indonesia. I was told someone of my friend just went to India. He said at the marketplace and all these people are using all QR code already. It's like a WeChat. In India, can you imagine? We always think about India being very backwards, right? So now India is coming up very fast. So within 5 years, I think India may overtake us again. And these are some of the issues always facing on ICT that you can see. First, normally, as I mentioned just now, it's always a perception and mentality, especially on the older generation of people. The younger generation, they already started engaging with smartphones and IT and computers, internet. So you're very familiar. Somehow or rather, Malaysia seems to be the fertile place for them to grow. They have to go elsewhere to grow. So if the government were to do the right things, I think probably more entrepreneurs. Yeah? Maybe some of you could be the future, of this industry. Changes in Malaysia retail, you see, of course, there's always rising costs. Especially, you see, for example, the brick and mortar, we always face challenges on the rental, on the lease. You see, the lease normally by the mall, they give you 3+3. After 3+3, they don't even say whether to extend you or not. So they look at your face after 3+3, like 3 years plus 3 years, they see it, they like, maybe you're more handsome, okay, I extend you another 3+3. If they don't like you, the leasing manager, they will just terminate your contract. You may be doing very well by then. And the rental, every 3 years, they just increase. See, most of the malls, but some malls are very friendly, like Sunway, I tell you, they're very friendly. I think 1U also very friendly. Yeah? So some of the malls are more friendly, so you may not suffer such a big setback in terms of higher work costs. Of course, labor is another issue. Uncertainty in Malaysia, for example. Now, if you want to extend any of your skilled labor, after 10 years, you have to pay 10,000 ringgit, one worker. So if you have 10, it will be 100,000. What happened? You have 50? Because those above 10 years are probably very highly skilled trained by you. So you refuse to let them go. So you have to pay so much. And all this will eventually go to the cost of doing business. Is it? So this again is self-imposed by authorities to have more money. I think because now currently Malaysia is facing a big challenge on deficits and also the funds. So of course I've spoken to some of my minister friends. The switching of GST back to SST is something in the election, they have no choice. But looking back on it, it's something they would not do, is it? You know why? Because now there's only a difference of 25 billion in terms of income, is it? And then plus other excesses and losses, whatever hidden costs. So before we start the budget next year, we already minus 35 billion. Can you imagine? The new budget, you start off with a new fresh budget with minus 35 billion. The missing 35 billion. So it's a big challenge. That's why Lim Guan Eng said it takes 3 years to recover that. So can you imagine that 3 years, let's say, set back Malaysia, the other countries in ASEAN will be moving ahead of us already. Is it? So you can see we are facing a lot of challenges in Malaysia. And of course, later I'll also talk a little bit about the current projected situation this year and next year. You see, the outlook for next 3 months, as I mentioned here, this one was actually projected basically during the tax break period. But you can see the dynamics can change within a few months. You look at the World Report just came out. It doesn't paint a rosy picture about Malaysia. Our GDP was supposed to be 5.4% or so. Now they projected to drop maybe up to 4.7%. So that's quite a drastic one, isn't it? You can see. So the World Bank does not paint a very good picture about us in that sense. And so we really have to, then with this, the government have a big challenge. What happened? They'll find ways with taxes. Now they're talking about inheritance tax. So you have a lot of properties, or you have a lot of whatever assets. The only way out, like in England, what they do is that they form a trust. You form a trust. I think that's the only way. But when you form a trust, you don't have full control. You get what I mean? If you own the assets 100%, today you can sign a check, you can do whatever you want. But once you have a trust, it's not that simple. And MRCA, these are some of the media we wish to work with, the digital partners. So with this, I wish to end my very short presentation, perhaps.